and never hear about it again for 5 more years.
Welcome back to Tech Tuesday. I'm your host, Jordan Evans, and we're back for another Tech Tuesday. I have an old friend and mentor and professor, and really the reason that you all have me, one of many reasons that you all have me, is Galina Madjaroff Reeds. You have your PhD now? You're like doctor?
Have had it, forgot about it.
You're like Dr. Reeds.
Dr. Reeds, yes.
So, to give you background, I went to the Erickson School of Aging, which some of you know, in the great city of Baltimore County, which is not a city, but the great Baltimore County. And when I started in this journey, I was a mechanical engineering student who was really bad at math. So, what do? They told me there's this really popular class called Aging 200, and it was taught by you at the time.
That's right.
And Steve Gurney and other great people that live here in Maryland. And so I took this course, and I didn't know that you could study aging. I didn't know that there was a field. I didn't know about the longevity economy. I didn't know about any of these things. And now it's funny that I don't know any of these things because I've been engulfed in this world. But soon after taking your course and understanding it, and I even did an interview with my grandfather in that class.
I remember we were talking about your grandfather.
So that is how we got here. And we're going to catch up definitely off air about all the things. But today we're talking about, so you now have left UMBC and now you're at UMD and you're really studying aging and technology, but particularly computer science. And tell me more.
Sure. I left UMBC for its big sister, College Park. So as you can imagine, quite more resources and a lot of focus on technology. So the college that I'm currently in is the College of Information. So we're much more focused on data science, on visualizing data, really teaching our students how to program, but also learn soft skills like communication and interpreting data. Yes, those are very important skills. So I'm much more in the data science space than I am in aging, but I have brought all of my aging kind of background within the college. And we are a little bit different than computer science. Computer science is much more theory-based. And so we're training our students to be leaders and professionals who are really making change with data, versus computer science is kind of really producing students who are really good at coding and programming, but they're much more limited in their kind of soft skill set. So,
well, I'm excited to jump into all of these things, but before we do, let's run our intro. So that is like my favorite part of the show. I think we're done. Like that's it. That's the show. So this is all really awesome stuff, and you're here at LifeSpan to talk about. I just read the title and I got past 4 words, but then I was like, I don't know what the rest of this means. But it's AI-enabled decision making.
Yes, and I think I phrase it that way because what I have found, especially in higher education, is that we've had this kind of aversion to AI and chatbots, and specifically talking to other faculty and colleagues, they have this kind of approach where we know it's there, we know ChatGPT exists, and it's doing what it's doing, but we're not fully utilizing it. And I have really been embracing it for the last couple of years, and it has changed my personal and professional life. So I kind of wanted to champion it in our space here because I think that it could really empower a lot of decisions that we make.
Now, you mean beyond helping me like get a topic for my paper? Like you mean beyond helping me write an email? So what does AI-powered decision-making or empowered decision-making look like in this space?
Mm-hmm. So the way that I broke down my talk today is I really want to look at specific departments and talk about, and of course have a conversation about, well, how could we incorporate some of these really amazing AI tools in dining services? Have we thought about that? I've been working with a physical therapy startup, and they're really excited about AI because we don't have a lot of follow up and follow through on physical therapy. Once you go home or once you go back to your space, you really kind of have to be encouraged to do those exercises, and artificial intelligence can support that. And so there's lots of ways that we can think broadly and think more creatively other than helping you write an email, which is really useful in itself.
I try to just like take out all of the meanness, because I can sometimes put a bite in an email and I'm like, take out all of the bite, and I come across as this like rainbows and sunshine.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I have a startup that I talk to, and they're looking at using it for resident orientation.
Yes.
Like while we're doing your intake, you're moving into my Sunbrook Grove community, and we just have a casual conversation, but there's a recorder, and it takes everything, puts it together, and then sends it to the clinical staff. Like, is that what we're talking about?
Absolutely. That's a wonderful example. And I think, I've always been a huge proponent of never taking the human factor out of the experience, because it's a very special bond that we have with older adults and the relationships that we build. This is just yet another tool that we can use to help productivity, help record conversations that maybe we could look at a later time and be able to provide better support. And so me talking to you now, I would love to look back on this chat and think about, well, what kind of follow-up could we have post this conversation?
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense for me to be taking notes in the midst of it. So I really am always very passionate about making sure that we keep the person in the center of everything that we do. And technology it enhances the experience.
Now, one of the things that, and I'm sure every risk assessment person, we all know that we love them. Sometimes they do hinder our creativity, but they're help. And so, two of the biggest conversations in senior living right now is around AI. When it comes to technologies, AI and cybersecurity. I mean, hacks are now common to the point that now you can get business insurance for hacks, and ransom insurance. How do we navigate innovation? Even in academia, how do we navigate innovation while also making sure that we are being good stewards and we are, being responsible for, being responsible?
Absolutely. Ethics is a big topic, and we, of course, have to think about the ethical implications of utilizing AI. And unfortunately, I will talk about this today, there's not a lot of policy and a lot of preparedness in what's really coming from this revolution. Yeah. And so I completely agree. It's kind of like you're putting personal identifiable information out there into the world and hoping that it doesn't get stolen, because there's really no safeguards. However, the way that I think about it is opportunity cost. So what are you getting back and what are you giving up? Of course, you're giving up your personal data. But you gave up your personal data this morning when you got a Starbucks, when you registered
for the conference.
For the conference, when you downloaded the app, when you got a Starbucks coffee, right? When you logged onto Instagram, when you sent an email. We can't be naive to think that our data is private. It's really not. And so, yes, being good stewards is really critical. And so my recommendation is always to be very considerate about what you're uploading to ChatGPT and the conversations that you're having. But it's kind of, we're all navigating this space together and hoping for the best.
Hoping for the best. Well, I learned a long time ago that hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. But you're right that there's the fine line that you have to balance, and it's a tightrope of we have to look at better ways to do our job. It's not a secret that senior living, and specifically because I work in this space, is skilled nursing. It's the most regulated field. behind, as they say, behind, I've never actually looked this up to make sure this is fact, but they say behind um, nuclear waste management, like the most highly regulated field behind nuclear waste management. We also, as an industry, are pretty behind when it comes to utilizing tech in our everyday things. I mean, it's a really cool thing when someone uses an AccuShield portal when going into a community, and that is a really cool thing. But we're not great at integrating technology and into our daily, into how we work, into how we live. So, how does one balance it?
And you made a fantastic point, and this is really what I'm hoping to talk about today, is to encourage attendees to experiment and to not be afraid of downloading chat on their phone and utilizing it as a search engine and really exploring its capabilities and talking about DALL-E and how it can enhance someone's experience, or sales and marketing. If you're not using AI-enabled Canva, you're behind. So I absolutely agree. If we're not jumping in the cold water now, we will be behind because things are moving so quickly and there's so much that we can gain from interacting with AI. We have to do it.
So, to pivot a little bit, I think it's also as an industry that is always a champion for aging and older adults. AI or ChatGPT or even like these chat uh, uh, creativity or art things are not the most age positive. And in some cases, are ageist. And so when you walk up to someone who's, you say, hey, you should be using chat or, AI-enabled Canva, but the pictures you get are all going to be like pictures of old white guys playing shuffleboard, like.
Absolutely, and you know what? This is the funny part about these large language models, is that we feed them, right? So it's our societal views, and you and I can talk about this all day long about how much we have a gripe with how our society views older adults and how frustrating it is, and how we see the other side. So I absolutely agree, but this is why all of us in this space need to be inputting and saying to DALL-E, no, this is an ageist representation of an older person or a retirement community. Please fix this. This is not what it looks like. We're feeding into this model, and hopefully, as natural language processing advances, we will be able to kind of shift. But technology has been ageist forever, right? Since we have.
Yes.
Since
I was in school,
since we were
learning about these things.
Absolutely.
Since you were in school.
Since I was in school, learning about these things. So, you and I are very much person-centered, and it's always that, shift to make technology more person-centered.
And so these are all great ideas, but not everyone has a CTO.
Right.
Not everyone has a CIO, and sometimes when you are bogged down by a lot of different things, it is hard. So what are, just give me three.
You're teaching class now. I have to give you the three.
What are three actionable things that that someone can do in their community, be it a DON, be it an administrator, executive director, C-suite? What can I go into my office tomorrow, and what can I help teach my team to not be wary of these things, and also be informed about the risk and all that?
Well, invite me to your community so I can talk about AI.
Invite Galina. She'll come. She'll buy her plane ticket. She'll show up.
Absolutely, I know.
She's got miles too. I assume she can get there.
No, in all seriousness, partnering with the university entity is great, because we have a lot of, you were super knowledgeable students who were really eager to learn on the job, and so we have students who are very knowledgeable and can come and train and talk about all this. But one thing I would say is jump in. I mean, I assume that everybody's using chat, everybody has it on their phone, everybody has it on their laptop, but there's some kind of apprehension. What is the barrier? What are you so afraid of? And back in the day when we moved away from Netscape, and you're too young to remember this, but when Google came about, we all had to figure it out, right? We had to jump in. What is the search engine? And then we got over it and realized the benefits. Please just utilize it. Download it. Type anything. Type, I have tomatoes and pasta. Give me a recipe. Type, have a conversations. Make fun of it.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get the engagement going. And then start exploring. And, it's not a very steep learning curve, I have to say. No. There's lots of other GPTs that are, part of chat.
I've just started getting into other, like the resume GPT.
Yes.
And there's also just like a conversational one.
Absolutely.
There's creative ones, there's writing ones, there's a whole world of GPTs.
Absolutely.
What does GPT stand for?
Oh, goodness.
Goodness? I've always wondered.
You put me on the spot. It's, oh my God, generated, pre-programmed, trans something. And you know what? But it doesn't matter.
No, just download it. Just download ChatGPT. And I mean, I had to ask.
No, I know. I should probably know this off the top of my head, but it doesn't really matter.
You need to figure out because someone's gonna ask you during your talk.
I'm gonna put it now on a slide so that way nobody asks. But it doesn't matter, right?
Generative AI is here.
Generative AI is here. You need to be using it. So that would be my first recommendation. Number 2 is we're supporting people and we want to enhance their experience, their aging experience. And how do we do that? With personalization and customization, right? And so if somebody comes to you and says, I am lonely, I would really like to be able to engage. Well, now I'm teaching my students how to make their own chatbots, and it's so easy.
You can do that?
Absolutely. I'll show it in my session if you're
Oh.
But it's so intuitive and it's so easy that you can pre-program this chatbot to have a conversation. And if you know what this person's likes and dislikes are, you can really keep them engaged. And I do this for my students, so they take quizzes with my chatbot. I do this for other faculty when we do trainings. Yeah. So I think if we want to customize, we have to jump in, do it, and then test it out and see how it goes.
I've seen communities that have chatbots on there. I mean, there's more and more that are bringing chatbots into their sales and marketing team. Right. Imagine if you did it in, maybe life enrichment.
Absolutely, and you and I are very passionate about that, especially creativity. So it's creative on both sides, and we cannot be ageist. We know that there's a lot of very passionate older adults who are in technology.
They're technologically inclined.
Very
more
inclined.
than I am.
It's more than me, and I see them at presentations and talks, and they ask amazing, really intuitive, tech-savvy questions. So we can't just disregard the fact that they're probably immersed and they'd like to do more. So why not make it available?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
3.
Number 3. Well, coming from the perspective of person-centeredness, person-centered care.
What a buzzword.
Isn't it? But I mean, we use it in tech. Yes. We use it in data science.
Do you really?
Absolutely.
Oh wow.
For sure, because
I know universal design is something that I'm sure you discussed. Really person-centered
technology development. Oh, absolutely. And computer science doesn't focus so much on that, but we do because we're interdisciplinary. We're making sure that we're including the human factor when we're designing. But I have to say, the buzzword for a long time was productivity. How are you more productive? So on the side of leadership, outside of the fact that, yes, it can write emails, but now there's lots of ways to upload documents. And of course, if you feel comfortable with uploading those documents, it can synthesize data. It can pop out graphs that are beautiful. And so if you're in a pinch and you need to relay vision, you can really have the support of lots of tools outside of ChatGPT, and I'll give examples today, but it can really enhance, it could be your second brain, and we all need a second brain in this day and age in order to function and be more productive. So,
all right, that's what Galina's selling, second brains. I like it. All right. Well, that is, and and if I may add a fourth, um, ask the questions. So OpenAI does have a very long legal document that does and talk about their risks, what they own, what you own, and so ask those questions. You don't know what you may be able. You may actually. They may have all these security features that may satisfy your CTO, and they're just being risk averse and just wanting to say no. But ask more questions, seek out more answers, and I mean, I think this goes back to one of seek out experts and bring in people, be collaborative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially with universities, we're inexpensive, sometimes free, right?
I like free.
We like research, we like to explore. We'll look at studies for you and give you cases and give you real examples of how you can improve productivity. So utilize this, and I love that. Ask questions, because nobody says you can have chat on your phone, right? And explore on your own, and then bring it to the community and figure out ways, maybe creative ways to incorporate it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Tech Tuesday and talking about this awesome and daunting thing that is AI. If you want to learn more, you can email Galina. Her email is going to be below. There it is. And then also link to her LinkedIn page will be on the chat. Next week, we will be sitting down with Erin Thompson. I'm having a baby this weekend, so I won't be on the show, but Rachel will be filling in for me, talking with Erin, who you can aspire for more with, and I'm super excited for that. So every Tuesday, we're here. If I'm not here, someone else is here, but I'm here most of the time from 1:30 to 2 Eastern. Thanks so much for tuning in. See y'all.